I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in a war. I lost my family in a war. My family was in a war. I was in the World Trade Center when it got hit. And I am telling you, Matt, we are on the precipice when the normal person gets angry. The one who just wants to exist peacefully. When you push that person to the brink is when you have massive conflict. I'm telling you, if you've been caught in this struggle that we've been having over the last few years, please listen to what Matt's saying. Please listen to what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to remove your bias, to clear your mind, and please look at some of these things. I understand that they sound absurd, or you think they're coming from a place of bias. Remember, I myself, brother, I don't identify with either. I'm not left or right. I'm not. Because if I'm being unbiased and if I'm looking at where we are today, it's from both sides. It's not just from left or right. You know, I was in the World Trade Center when it got hit. Here we are coming on the anniversary again, right? That was a moment that changed the world, not just our country. And I believe kind of that's where all this has kind of, that was like a very, like if we were looking at a timeline, right? Like it was that point that really led to, I think, where we are today, as far as Americans, as far as losing rights, as far as them being able to listen to us without having warrants and this, and you know, we can go on and on and on. But it's also, to me, a sign of our nation being used, our military being used for things that were not what we were told. I don't feel like I was avenged by invading Afghanistan. We left them more powerful than we found them, for example, right? So that's very painful to me as someone that was in the World Trade Center the day it got hit, because we were all emotional. I mean, brother, I had the flag out, let's go, let's, you know, and hey, you know, I am a Muslim American, right? And I'm still like, let's go over there, like, let's get revenge, right? It was a very emotional moment in U.S. history, right?
Okay, right.
Then that led to what? Iraq, right?
Which
on false pretenses.
Yeah, I was going to say, had nothing to do with.
I just came from Texas. I just spoke with my cousin who's still struggling. He has PTSD, okay? And I asked him, what's plaguing you, brother, 20 years later? What, like, let it out. He's like, man, I was in charge of the police. We gave them our word. We're going to help them. We're going to take care of them. And I'm going somewhere with this, so just bear with me. We were going to take care of them. You know, I'm never going to leave you down. I'm never going to, you know, we're not going to betray you. So he's on a base not far from where this police station was in Baghdad. And he gave them their word. You know, he's a U.S. Marine. We're not going to leave you, you know, bad. If you get in trouble, just call us. He's like, sure enough, a few weeks later, the walkie-talkies are going off. The walkie-talkies are going off. Bro, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Like, he's like, okay, we're coming. We're coming. Boom, his commander, stand down, soldier. What do you mean stand down? These are our guys. We're here to help them, right? We're here to help them build their police force and bring democracy. That's what he went for. He went to defend America.
Right.
And he went to support these people. And there was Iraqis who wanted America there and to try to bring in this liberty that we, you know, brag about. And he's sitting there listening to these guys fighting for their lives after he gave them their word. His commanders tell him to step down. He didn't care. He loses it. He's like, I don't give a f-. He jumps in a truck, heads towards the front door of the base with 4 other guys. Because remember, he's working every day with these guys. Like I've known you for a couple of years. 6 months, me and you are working close together. I'm training you. I'm your teacher. And I'm your mentor as a new military or police in a newly formed democracy, which didn't last long. And he's listening to these guys fighting for their lives. And he feels like he's betraying them, which America did. That group of police that got wiped out in Iraq, who was willing to fight for what we were supposed to be bringing them, that ideals. Mm-hmm. They pointed guns at them, because I didn't realize this. I guess you have foreign soldiers that guard American bases, so the Americans can't just get out the base. I didn't know that. So they pointed automatic weapons on him because he was literally dying to go and help those guys. And he's like, I had to sit there and listen to them all die over calling my name. We're in trouble. Please, where are you? You promised us. And they fought those guys. Those Iraqi police, may they rest in peace, that we betrayed, fought to the last bullet in that police station. And then 4 hours later, he's got to go and pick up their bodies. So he's haunted by the fact that I betrayed them. I'm like, no, you didn't betray them. I said, you were betrayed. Because I asked him, I said, what was your intention? I said, this pain you have in your heart, what was the intention when you joined the military for the U.S.? He was like, it was to defend our country and try to help people in other countries. I said, so your intentions were good, right? He's like, yeah. Were you willing to risk your life and go help those officers when they were inside the police station begging you to come help them? Yes. I said, did you not jump in a truck and try to get outside the base, even though you might get court-martialed? He's like, yes, I did. I said, you did everything in your power to try to save them. You were betrayed. You and every other Marine who was sent to battles that I believe were for corporate feudalism, not for the best interests of the American public. And these conversations are front and center right now with everything that's happening in the Middle East. The point is this. Yes, I think we're primed for a civil war, Matt. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because so many Americans feel like they've been used, whether it's soldiers, whether it's an everyday citizen, anyone that's paying attention. I think, first of all, if you're drawing on political lines, then you're not truly enlightened to what's happened to our nation. We can look at both sides. I think the work you do is important. The work of the gentleman you mentioned, his name is important. People like me that speak out against hatred, racism, all this stuff, because I do believe there's an agenda to topple this nation. I've said this many times on many shows. And the greatest way and the easiest way to take down an empire is with an infighting. And right. We are set, primed, and galvanized. Like literally that what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania could have been the spark that would have been the point of no return. Before I came on your show, you came on my show at first. And, I think I started my podcast before you, but you're light years ahead of me now. And I'm so proud of everything you've done. And it's amazing to watch you evolve. And you really inspire me, bro. And remember, my show was called The Comeback Team.
Right.
And you made the comeback, bro. And you're in the middle of it. But like you've come, I'm very proud of you. So I drove from New York to LA and then from LA back to New York 2 years ago as I was filming a documentary, which I haven't released yet. When I say the difference, because remember, I'm stopping everywhere and kind of feeling the energy. My brother, we are so divided. We are so divided. It is terrifying. It is terrifying. Like what I witnessed in that 2-month journey, coast to coast, hearing the word war everywhere. We're going to go to war. We're going to go to war. Like it's coming. Like in southern states, like we don't care. We're ready. Like this is how they're talking down south.
Right.
Okay. And I would say that we are very close to having extreme conflict. When you mention our past, it was economical also, right? Slavery was a part of that. We're almost at a 50% tax rate. Americans are struggling. Inflation's through the roof. I can't believe I paid $12 for 2 packs of Doritos. Historically, when tax rates hit close to 50%, you have massive revolution throughout history. Everything, the perfect storm for something like this to actually take place in the United States is there,
right?
In my opinion. What do you think?
It feels like there's definitely an extreme tension. I don't know. I think what happens is it has to be some kind of a coup, some kind of a military coup involved. Because one of the big things that Rudyard and I talked about and that he talks about is that, predominantly whichever side the military favors wins.
Always.
Right?
Yeah.
And that the military, despite the fact that like Biden put a bunch of people in power that are more liberal, the fact is overall
more liberal. Did you see the head of what was it, health?
Well, no, I'm talking about in the military.
Oh, in the military,
so,
yeah.
Regardless, overall, the military is typically conservative. So his assumption is, and I think everybody's assumption is that the military would lean towards a conservative,
more towards the right.
Yes, but that's still that's a big ask to some general to do that. And then his other thing is he was basically saying like, look, even if the generals pushed a liberal agenda, he's saying, or liberal choices, or leaned more left, that his assumption was that the commanders underneath them simply won't follow the orders. Like you're telling me you want me to invade, like I'm from Florida and you want me to lead my troops into Tampa and do horrific things and fire on American troops for something that I don't believe in because their values are conservative, then they're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's his assumption. And I think that's probably true, because I say that because of the the revolutions that took place during the fall of the Soviet Union. There were lots of orders that were given to troops to basically to mow down rioters and people that were protesting, and the troops, they wouldn't do it. You know, that the Russian soldiers were like, I'm just not gonna fire on these people. Now that obviously did not happen in Tiananmen Square, right? Tiananmen Square,
in Romania, but they got that bastard and hung him upside down. That was an amazing revolution.
But in general, it was a non-violent revolution in Russia for the most part. They wouldn't fire. A lot of them wouldn't fire on their own people. So I'm wondering. So that's my big query about.
Now
I'm interested.
You said something earlier in this train of thought about a coup.
Right.
There's many Americans that believe that's already happened, brother, during the last cycle when we were selecting our leader.
Right.
There's a lot of Americans. If you're looking online, if you're looking at the debates, the conversations I've had from here to California,
right,
especially on the right, who believe that already happened last, the last, I'm avoiding certain words on purpose.
Yeah.
The last time we chose our leader here
right.
in the U.S., many people, and you know this, believe that that's already happened. That the man that's running right now was the true winner. I'm not saying that that's what I believe. Right. But there was a lot of shady shit that went down. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny about that is that everybody always says, "Oh, that he's denying the results." But I remember when Al Gore denied the results. I remember when Hillary Clinton denied the results. Exactly. Like everybody, if it's close, they always deny the results. Like that doesn't mean anything.
You make a very valid point there. That's true, and this happens in countries all across the world all the time. We're like, no, we want to make sure, we want a recount, we want, I mean, that's not a unreasonable request.
So one other thing real quick that's funny is, here's the thing, we did that video, no, we did that with this guy with Rudyard, and so it got to over 200,000 views very quickly. So I'm thinking, hey, this may end up breaking 1 million views, on the channel. Like this thing is
and then
blowing
the button
up.
Got pushed.
And then they limited the monetization. We appealed it. They came back and they said that we were spreading like disinformation, or what was?
Let me see.
And this is the one with the title. The
like
war,
yeah,
right?
like the coming Civil War.
I saw that. I knew we were gonna get flagged.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. When I saw the title, I'm like, this is great, and who doesn't want to? Like, I would love watching episodes. I was like, definitely gonna. So, and they did, huh?
Danny also, by the way, released. He recut his episode with Rudger. Now, Danny, I'm talking about Danny Jones from Concrete, formerly Concrete. He also interviewed Rudyard for Rudyard. Jesus, he also interviewed Rudyard for over 3 hours, and he recut one of the episodes to a 1 hour clip just about like the coming Civil War, and put it out on the Best of Danny Jones. He has a second channel he started. It's already got like 30,000 subscribers.
I'm a joke right now. My channel is a joke, guys.
Listen, he's got like 100 or 200. Like I think within a few days, he's got like over 200,000 views on that one video.
That one segment. Yeah.
Now here's the problem. So what was their response for our
harmful acts and unreliable claims?
Unreliable claims.
Yeah,
now,
but it's a hypothetical conversation.
He said that. He said this is just an opinion where they're discussing the potential of, and they're rendering their opinions. I'm not saying this is happening. We were just saying
what would it be like if it did happen?
What could happen? What are historic events that are similar to this,
and how we could prevent it?
Well, I don't know about preventing. We didn't talk about prevention. Anyway, it was just about what if it happened, and what would the fallout be? Like how would it occur? And I had a lot of great questions with Rudyard, because he does his videos maybe 30, 40 minutes. I think it's like about a little over 30 minutes, where he doesn't give super specifics, because obviously he doesn't know super specifics, right? But I was like, how would that go? Like how? So I'm asking these questions. So it really dragged out, but it was a really great discussion. And then the moment it looked like, hey, this is going to blow up, and we've got a lot of videos like that. The moment you say something that YouTube's algorithm decides doesn't promote their agenda, they stifle it.
I know, brother.
Immediately.
You're talking to someone who got to like 10,000 subs very quickly when I started my channel. And then the minute everything got closed in 2019 and I started speaking against, which happened to be correct. I hate to say, some of my friends out there that are walking like this with they can't move their arms. They've lost their eyesight from doing this. If you're watching the episode, and it's not fun. It's actually sad, man,
right?
Because it was a zero-sum game there. Like, for those that are watching, you should be watching this episode, because we're using a little code here. And I can tell you, I sort of got about 100 people that have been affected by that. You know,
Right.
the cure for what happened when they closed us down.
Well, let's stay on topic. Look, so what I'm saying is,
But people don't want to listen for their own good, man.
what I'm saying is, the attempted of,
That could have been the beginning of
right.
the end of this nation completely.
and so the following day, right? So I'm sitting here one day, and all of a sudden my phone, I get a text, bro, someone just shot President Trump. Like that's what it said. I was like, what? I looked and I thought they were like, turn on the TV, and then listen, I got like 4 or 5 texts within like a minute or two, and I was like, what? So I turned around, turned on the TV, and I mean, I was already watching within a minute or two of what had happened.
Yeah, it
like
was big news. You know?
They hadn't even done the replay yet. Like they're still scattering, they're still going. For all we know is this. They had just gotten them like in the car, it's driving away, like the SUVs, and I'm like, what is happening? Eventually, then I called Jess. Jess comes in. We sat down. We watched the whole thing. Of course, by the time they do the replay, you realize, okay, clipped him in the ear. He's okay. Everything's fine.
But even I could tell with that when he went like this, I'm like, he almost just died right there.
Oh,
I knew without
absolutely.
waiting for the analysis. Now, you know, and what was fascinating about all that is I actually had one good friend and his friend. Literally the next day, I had footage that the world hadn't seen yet on my channel. Not enough people followed it to see it, but it got out there on Twitter and all that stuff.
So the next day, what did you do? The next day, following day, you drove out there?
No. So what happened was I'm just scrolling through stories, and my friend Vatan Tana, now he's been on every major news outlet, you know, during these last couple of, you know, since that time of the attempted nation. He was on everything from Newsmax to, but he gave me the courtesy of coming on my podcast first, which was, so I see that he was there. He's like, we just survived Trump's. So he flies like smaller planes.
Yeah.
You know, like not private jets, like, you know, small like Cessnas or whatever. So he decides to go with his other buddy to fly in from, I believe it's Connecticut. They flew into Butler, PA. And they went in there and they were to the right of the president. And they had a perfect view, perpendicular to those Secret Service guys that were on the roof. So I broke the footage where, and they gave I was very amazed. If you look at the episode, you could tag it in the episode if you want. It was amazing how accurate they were, you know, before the world really had it. Because I think they had said like they were observing them for 21 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. The official report says. He said 16 minutes on my show the next day, right? You see them with massive binoculars. It's all their cell phone footage. They can see those Secret Service guys perfectly. They have the perfect angle. And the minute I saw them with these massive binoculars, I'm going, how the hell did this happen? Seriously? Forget the scope from the sniper rifle. I'm talking about they had massive, like you didn't see the guy? And then all the other bits and pieces start coming out. I don't care if you like the guy or not. It just doesn't make sense.
So, okay, but you said you
that
went.
This guy got that close to taking out who probably will be the next president if we have an election.
Right. So you went and you interviewed who?
Both of them came on the show the next day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The next day, and they said, man, it just doesn't make sense. Like, we watched them. Here's the footage. They gave me their videos. And he estimated 16 minutes that he can count. And he had all the timestamps. And then the major press eventually said 21 minutes. So he was very accurate for someone who was all the way in the crowd and just kind of, you know, looking at the president and looking at that shed that those Secret Service guys were on. And they came on the show and we kind of broke the story. And then they ended up being on all the press. So shout out to Vatan. It's the one time where social media came through. So I'm like, you know, like I said, I found out he was there by just looking at his stories that, he's like, hey, I was here. I'm like, please, like, come on the show. Let's talk about this. Because everyone's talking about it.
So I went on Danny's show and we were talking about, well, I talked to, obviously, Danny about it. And then we talked to a guy who was a former CIA agent. And then I've spoken with a few people since then, Rudyard being one of them. And one of the things that I've kind of introduced and thought about was, look, if right now, based on your social media responses, just picking up your phone, how quickly you scroll through something, whether you make a comment, whether you share the video, whether they've completely crafted your TikTok or your Instagram. Everything that you get is geared toward you, right? Periodically, they'll throw something else in there to see, is he interested in this? And, you know, 2 or 3 times within a couple of days. And if you don't bite on it, then they don't do it again for a while. And sometimes you say, oh, I do like that. So then they craft that and you start following that line and they incorporate that line
Different
into
trajectory, yeah.
correct. And so they keep building this profile of who you are. So what I was saying was, how difficult is it, right, for the NSA, for you to go to the NSA and say, listen, here's all of Trump's campaign spots for the next 6 months up to November. We need to know anybody within, an hour or 2 hour driving range that is posting negative comments on any social platform, that also can fire a weapon, has a permit, or is interested in weapons, or visits any sites that have weapons, whatever. I'll bet you they come up with a few hundreds. They've got, okay, here are profiles. We also need to make sure that they don't have family, that they're loners. Okay, scale it down. Now we're down to maybe 100. All they do is they just keep bringing it down, or keep shrinking that core group to people that have made veiled threats or whatever the case may be. And then you've got, okay, well, we got 6 guys near here. We got 12 guys here. We got 2 guys here, 1 guy here, 7 guys near this one. And then what do? You send out somebody to talk to a few of them and say, look, here's the problem. I'm with the CIA, FBI, NSA, whatever. And, this is what we want to happen. We can clear a path for you to be able to have a shot. We can't be a part of it. We're a government organization. It will come out.
We'll back you up if
right.
anything goes wrong. We'll get you out.
Of course, we're going to clear the way. Yeah. We're going to this. We're going to, and you place. Let's face it. Even if you did that 2 or 3 times, one time a guy shows up, he gets arrested. He gets grabbed. He's got a gun. He's got this. He's got that. He, of course, says, no, I was going hunting. I didn't mean to. I was just here to check it out. Look, I got a shirt that says, Trump 2024. And then they never help the guy out. Even if he says, no, I was contacted by somebody, you sound like a lunatic. They're going to cover their tracks. And you end up eventually, you get one guy that is able to get himself on a roof and take a shot. That's all you need. If you do that, you're going to get somebody that's going to take him out. That's it. Like that scenario, as conspiratorial, as ridiculous as that maybe sounds, is not ridiculous at all. That is extremely doable.
And do you know why it is? The bottom line is anyone can be touched on this earth.
Yeah.
As long as someone is willing to give their life to take someone else's life, anyone can be touched. Anywhere,
John F. Kennedy.
Any place, anytime.
Right.
As long as you have people that are willing to give their life to take your life, meaning they're willing to lose theirs to take yours.
That's the John F. Kennedy quote.
Anyone can be touched.
Said anybody can. He said anybody can kill the president if they're willing to trade their life.
He did say that. Yeah. See, I didn't know that. Well, he was right.
Oh yeah, and he said that before he ended up getting.
Yeah, I've been to the place where the X's are, and
the grassy knoll.
Yeah, and in my opinion, man, it's like I really feel like he was the last president we really did. In my opinion, I think he was the last elected one ever. In my opinion, I really do. I feel like you talk about coups. That was the day a coup happened. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think
in this nation.
Yeah, I think that Trump getting elected.
I did some spaces with RFK Jr. We were talking offline about X and how you can host spaces on there. Yes, right. So I was, shout out to Augustus, preservation of the human race. He was helping him out as much as he could. I really think Trump should have made him the VP.
Yeah. Well, Trump makes a lot of bad decisions. You know what I'm saying?
He makes horrible decisions in some ways, man. As far as like his campaign, the people he allows in his circle, I don't. He always seems to be surrounded by people that betray him. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think what happens with Trump is...
look at his VP.
And here's...
He couldn't look at the VP that he had last time around. He looked like Children of the Corn, man. Just looking at him, I was like, this guy looks evil.
Well, here's the problem, is that, Trump's core conservative values and Trump's, the choices he's made, his policies, I don't have a problem with. I think we should have a strong border, right? Yes. I think that NATO should pay their fair share. I think there's all kinds of issues that are that go. I think that trade embargoes are, that there are issues with unfair trade with tariffs.
We were annihilated by trade.
Right. So I don't have a I think the big problem is that a lot of the presidents they come on, they want to do this whole global thing. And the truth is like you're making decisions that's best for the world. And the truth is you were elected to make best decisions for Americans.
Yes.
Like, no offense, I don't care about China. I don't care about these other countries.
They got their own
And
problems.
they let them take care of themselves. I don't care. Like, if you have a problem in your country and you're basically invading our country to escape your country, like, stay in your country. We have a system. You're allowed to come. You put in your paperwork. We approve you. You have to be able to. Unlike other countries, we don't even care if you're going to contribute to this country. Most countries, part of their
You gotta go to the military.
well, part of their allowing you to come into their country is, what do you bring to us? Do you have
Are you
money?
an engineer? Are you a doctor? Are you,
Right.
Yeah.
If you say, no, you don't understand, I'm 25 years old, I've got 2 kids and a wife,
They don't
and
care.
we're broke.
They don't
They're
care.
like, tough shit.
No, they don't give a shit. I
But
know
for
a
us,
fact.
we're like, come on in. What are you talking about? Like, you're going to be a drain on society. Other countries don't do that. Now, we do.
My cousin, to become a citizen as we speak, she's serving in the Navy. So that she agreed to go and join the U.S. Navy.
Right.
And they're giving her citizenship. It's the only reason she joined. But at least she's doing something to get it.
Yeah.
You know? And that shows loyalty. You're willing to risk your life. You're joining the Navy. Anything could go wrong. I mean, I hope she doesn't end up in World War III the way things are looking. But
Well,
know.
I think that American
open border, my friend, is a big problem.
American politicians are not looking out for
all.
the United States. And and here's the thing too. Like, I get these guys that are like, they'll be in the comments and they'll argue, some of the things I say, and like, I have some liberal political leanings and conservative, but the problem is that the decisions I'm making, or that I think, are like, what's best for American citizens, like inviting everybody to come in here and use up our resources that don't contribute.
Now, I'm in New York.
Right. Oh yeah.
What you're talking about is exactly what's going on there. This city that was amazing, Matt. When I tell you New York City was amazing, I tell you it was, for those of you, was amazing. After everything happened in 2019, they closed us down. I don't think by accident, because people were too busy watching Puffy, Diddy beating that girl the same day that they basically admitted on record that they created everything that closed us down. Again, we're avoiding certain words. This is a fact.
Right.
That video was released the same day that the number 2 guy under the guy with the F name, rhymes with Rauchi, okay? His number 2 admitted on record that they created that damn thing overseas, everything that we were called, that were crazy, that ripped the entire fabric of our country, but bare minimum, New York City. Okay, it ripped New York City in half when they closed us down. And we've spoke about this the last episode. I am still having trouble processing that my city is gone. It's never coming back. Yeah, the buildings are there. Maybe there wasn't a war, but it's gone. It's lost its soul. It's a completely different pace. All you see now are these migrants from all over in the streets, literally roaming the streets, okay? Roaming the streets in groups. $5 billion was used of New York City's resources. They're projecting $10 billion in 2025. I'm looking at the room rates. I swear to God, I have this big Albanian pop star. I won't mention her name. Shout out if you're watching. Hope you're behaving yourself. I do consult a lot of people and try to help them. She wants to come in September, and I'm looking at room rates. Matt, the room rates in New York are $500 to $1,000 a night.
For a room.
How is this possible? How is it that rooms are $500 to $1,000 a night in New York City when we're missing the 100 million tourists that we had before they closed us down? Those streets are not full of tourists.
Right.
Business is not what it was. Everything's being done remote. I'm telling you, brother, it's Thursday, Friday in the morning, and there's not even 1/100th of what rush hour used to be before 2019. Not even close. Okay, not even close. So how are these room rates $500 to $1,000 a night? Because the city's paying to house these migrants, which is keeping the occupancy as if we're a bustling city with millions of tourists, and we're not, and crime is through the roof. Most of the time, yes, there's violent crime from all different communities, but there's a lot coming from them. These newcomers that are desperate. They got more money than most New Yorkers. They got these debit cards. It's crazy, man. You go online, they're on EBT, and I'm like, I'm getting nothing. When we talk about coming, conflicts that could happen in this country, I think the average working person who's struggling, who's going to the grocery store, 2 packs of Doritos are $12. It's $20 for a pound of cold cuts in some parts of our country. It's $4.30 for a gallon of gas. We're being taxed and told to death in places like New York City and New Jersey. They're taking our income tax. You're taking 10% of my money on top of the federal government, and you're giving it to strangers who don't even have to work. You're putting them up in hotels. You're giving them cash and money. You're trying to feed your family, and they're destroying our lives, man. They're creating chaos. I'm scared to if I had a daughter, I would be scared to let her out the door in New York City. If you have a daughter, you better make sure she's with good friends when she's in those streets right now. This is not the city I grew up in, and I'm angry about it. So imagine I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in war. I lost my family in war. My family was massacred in war. I was in the World Trade Center when it got hit, and I am telling you, man, we are on the precipice. Because as the wise Hamza Yusuf said, an amazing human being that I hope one day you bring on this show. What an amazing human being. This guy's a scholar of all kinds, like just a genius. He said, be careful, he goes, when the normal person gets angry. The one who just wants to live their life, just wants to take care of their family, just wants to work, just wants a simple life, just wants to exist peacefully. When you push that point, that person to the brink, is when you have massive conflict. When you push that normal, hardworking man or woman who just wants to raise their kids and live in peace and be treated fairly with the money that they contribute to this society that we live in. When you push that person to the brink, and they have, and I don't think it's by accident, I think it is on purpose. I think they are trying to antagonize and pull us into a conflict, both sides, for a global agenda. America was the hitman for the globalists. Let me explain. Our nation, I believe in a global agenda. I know things that I can't talk about on record because I'd be giving up to people that told me some of these things. I know for a fact that this all goes down to the SC score. Social.
Right. Okay.
Score. You understand?
Yeah.
Where every move you make, what they want for us is a subscription-based reality. They're already starting to do it with our cars. You want navigation, you have to pay for the subscription. That's coming for our lives, brother. I promise you. I know for a fact, not just because AJ said it on InfoWars. He said this years ago. I'll give him credit, man. The guy's been right about a lot of things. A lot of things, okay? I know for a fact it will be based on climate and all these other things, and they want us in electronic currency. We talk those clips of me and you went viral, by the way, where we're talking about crypto, and if you know who made it, and it's a Japanese, like that clip went crazy. Right. You know that, right? Where I was like, you think it was a Japanese wizard that invented crypto? This whole thing goes into, once America falls, a totalitarian, authoritarian technocracy that uses electronic currency to control every single aspect of your life. I promise you, if this channel's still left up, if we still have free speech 5 years from now, this will age well. We are in such trouble, not just as Americans, as a species, of what they are trying to bring. So where I'm going with all this, brother, and I'm going to shut up, 100% America was the hitman for the globalists. I believe there's globalists, 100%. We were used to set up the checkerboard of the new world, the new world order. It's a new idea, a new world order, right? Remember George Bush Sr.? We, the American people, were used as the hitman, like the mafia, to set up the whole world. All these conflicts, all this shit. And now that the game board is set, the chessboard is set, we're in the way now. Now we're in the way. Now our freedom is in the way. So I believe the globalists are going to take America down to finish their global agenda. You will own nothing and be happy. As the amazing...
Who said that?
Amazing Klaus Schwab said, World Economic Forum. So we're in the way now. The American people are in the way. We were used to create the way for the globalists. Now we're in the way. So now it's like when the hitman whacks all the people that the mafia tells them to whack. And now the mafia's like, okay, get rid of the hitman. We are the last, in my opinion, piece to fall in. If we shall fall as a nation, say goodbye to freedom anywhere else in the world, guaranteed. Yes, we did a lot of bad things, but it wasn't because the American people wanted those bad things to happen. We've been used. Our money's been used. Our excesses have been used against us, which has allowed us to be weak and be used and manipulated. And we've become like cattle. Like we can't even think critically anymore. And we are in trouble as a nation. And that's where I rest for now. Matt, go ahead.
So one is LA doesn't even have it as bad. I mean, sorry, New York doesn't even have it as bad as LA. Like I've been to LA and I've been to San Francisco and it's off the chain. Like it's insane how bad the streets
Skid
are.
Row is crazy.
Skid Row, bro. I didn't stay in Skid Row when I went to LA. I stayed just right downtown, and I was miles and miles away from Skid Row. And I mean, there were people just And in San Francisco, same thing in San Francisco. There were people that had tents. They're sleeping. There was a guy that laid down, like literally, the streets are just lined with people leaning up against buildings, drinking, doing drugs. Cops can't do anything. There was a guy that laid down, passed out. I mean, his belly's hanging out, half his ass is hanging out. He's laying there completely laid out in the middle of the sidewalk. People are walking around him. Me and the two lawyers I was with, we went and got coffee. We came back 45 minutes later. He's still there. I mean, nobody says anything. They're stepping over him. They're walking around him.
It's horrific. It's such a demoralization of that culture, that society, that city.
I was staying in a hotel where and it was probably $500 to $700 a night for the hotel. And this was a nice hotel. And keep in mind, this was about 5 years ago. So I'm staying there. And I went downstairs to
you're in DTLA, downtown LA.
No, this was in San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco, okay.
And so I go down there, and I'm eating breakfast right next to a window. Now there was a screen on the window, so all you could see was a shadow of the guy walk up, but you could tell he was homeless. Like he's leaning it. He pulls out a pipe and starts smoking whatever it was, whether it was I don't know what drugs, it was. He starts smoking right there, and I'm eating, and I'm thinking,
I'm gonna take a hit of that. No, I'm
I'm thinking, what the is going on? Like what? And nobody. People they glance over and then they just look away. Guys are taking a piss in the middle of the street. They're pulling their shit out, taking a piss in the middle of the street.
Insane.
I could go on and on.
But where are the citizens of those places? Meaning,
they're just dealing with it. You're living,
but they should shut it down. Real simple.
In LA,
go in front of City Hall, all of you, and say, until these things are changed, we're shutting it all down. Because you got to get to a point where we got to take some pain, Matt. Nobody wants to take pain right now. That's why nothing's changing. Nobody's willing to do what needs to be done.
In LA. I was in a hotel. This is when I was interviewed by, what's his name? Fresh Out. What's the guy's name? Big Herc. Big Herc. I was interviewed by Big Herc in this hotel. Nice hotel. It had been completely refurbished. Very nice. It was the middle of the whole COVID thing, and we're in the middle of the whole thing. So it's virtually empty. And I remember
it was very empty during.
I
was in LA about 5 times during the shutdown. It was very empty.
Well, it's funny because right next to that building and across the street, and most of the buildings around this older hotel that had been renovated.
Roosevelt?
I don't know.
Is that where you're at? Were you across the street from the Chinese theater?
No.
Okay.
No. So anyway, the condos are going for $2.5, $3, $4 million,
which
right?
is crazy.
Yeah, and yet, I remember I talked to the hotel staff there. I was like, bro, like, what's with all these homeless people? And the guy they just looked at each other and they kind of chuckled and they went, yeah, they go, where are you from? And I was like, I told him, I said, oh, I'm from Tampa, Florida. And he goes, they don't have a lot of homeless in Tampa, do they? I said, no. I said, bro, that state's, I said, Florida's like, they're all hunters. I'm like, they'll tag them and start hunting them. They'll have like homeless hunting season. I said, they're not putting up with that shit. I said, I'll bet there aren't 100 homeless people in downtown Tampa. And this was at that time. Now there might be 200, and they keep them to a certain area. So anyway, so as we're talking, he said,
and Florida has an excessive drug problem too,
right?
And they don't have these problems like the West Coast does.
No, well,
so it's not just drugs; it's the way they're handling these things.
Oh, it's the way they're handling.
Exactly.
So here's what the kid says at the desk. He says, "Listen," he said, "You know what's funny?" He said, "Listen to this." He said, "The condos, right across the street. He's like 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms are going for like." $3.5 million, let's say. He goes, insane. He said, so a guy that just paid $3.5 million for a condo will walk out his front door with his dog. He said to go walk his dog. If his dog shits on the sidewalk and he doesn't pick it up, he goes, he'll be fined like $300-400 for not picking it up. He said, but a homeless guy can take a shit right in front of his building.
On his doormat,
right? He said in front of a cop and walk away. He goes, and nothing happens to him. And he was like, and this guy's paying $3.5 million. He's. Can you imagine that? I was like,
the
bro,
people that stay there are stupid. You're stupid that you live there.
Yeah.
I'm dying to get out of the New York City area. We've spoken about this many
You've
times.
seen where I live. Do you know what these houses go for?
They weren't that bad a couple years ago. They've already doubled almost some of them.
Listen, here you spend $450,000 for a house. You get a house, bro.
And
This place is like
brand new.
3-4 years old. Everything in this whole
The
community is
entire
brand
neighborhood,
new.
this whole area is great.
There's no wires.
And I love the one over
everything's
there,
under
the one that-
everything's underground. Everything. We got fountains. Every other
Spotless.
thing. Yeah. Oh, listen. At
Spotless.
night, listen. This pillow is great. It's called Ghost Bed. I personally have used one of their pillows because they make pillows, they make mattresses. I've actually slept on this pillow for the last few nights. It's a great pillow. Actually, I slept so good. I believe that there's a little bit of slobber right here. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this off because that's disgusting. But listen, the pillow is made of this really, really cool fabric, and the cushioning is amazing. And it's not like it's a foam pillow. Like, it's super, super cool. And it was great because typically, honestly, I'll bet you I wake up and flip the pillow probably 5 or 10 times during the night just to try and keep it cool. I never had to flip this pillow one time. Super cool. The material is cool. It you know what it reminds me of? It's kind of like it's a heavy pillow, but it's super soft. It reminds me of the difference between buying an iPhone, which you can feel that heaviness, it feels expensive and feels solid, as opposed to an Android. Anyway, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide.
Let me ask you this, man. What makes me upset is we know how to fix this problem we have in America. How do we get the American people to get on board? So for me, it should be real simple. You want to be a public servant, right? Really? Oh, you're really in this for the American people? You're a good person? You're a public servant? Cool. Before you get into office, just like you guys send the IRS to make our lives miserable, full audit of your financials before you get into office. Every single year while in office, lobbying is 100% illegal. Full financials of your family also, so we can't embezzle anything into their names. Just because we have this policy and you're the one, your family has to be on board. Like, there's ways to fix this thing. Term limits. Unless these things are done, it doesn't matter. I have a clip that's viral right now, right? I have 2 clips that are viral. One of them is about me saying, and people think Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. And even if he was, which he's not, even if he wins, nobody's saving America, brother. I don't care who's in that office.
Oh, yeah.
It does not matter who's in the Oval Office. When every other position and every other agency has corruption in it, it doesn't matter who sits in the Oval Office. The only people that can fix it is us.
Listen, the economy is so bad right now that it doesn't matter if Harris gets in or Trump gets in, it will crash.
100%.
And there's nothing anybody can do to fix that. Now, do I think Trump is the better person to handle that crisis? I do, but it's irrelevant. Either one of them, it's going to be
down,
absolutely
bro. This motherfucker is
devastating.
coming down. If you're
That's
watching
a problem.
this, it's coming down. You heard it here on the Matt Cox Show. I'm telling you, this is coming down.
So anyway, there's major issues in our future. There's no doubt.
What happens if we have a total collapse economically? I'm talking about worse than the Great Depression of the 20s. I think that leads directly to armed conflict. I'm telling you, man, anytime you've had serious, that's what led to the French Revolution, right? You study these things. Weimar Germany's, right? The condition they were in is what led to World War II, right? That economic depression, which galvanized them.
World War II was the same. It was the same situation.
So the economics is there, brother. Like, we're the sick man of the world now. The Ottoman Empire was the last, major empire, then the British one. But we're in trouble, man.
You know, so
what did you think about everything that's going on in the UK? I had some guests on my show also.
Oh, bro, it's insanity, bro.
But here's the thing, but both sides have, let me explain to you my opinion, then you can say whatever you want, or you go first. Because it's related to what's going on, what may be going on over here, right? They got very close to having, they were very close in Britain right now to having a civil war, bro. They really were. Like it was starting to spread. And if you take a step back from it, you know, I can kind of see both sides, right? I can see both sides. I don't agree. I just want to make this clear on record here for your audience. I do not agree with open borders. Not in the UK, not in the US, not anywhere. I did a response to Dominic Charkensky, who was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, right? And he's very anti-Muslim, bro. Like he's a racist, bro, straight up. But I still said in my analysis of what he's saying, I agree with him. I agree with how he wants to protect his nation of Poland. And it was Poland, right? Yeah. He wants to protect his people, protect his border. You know, as far as his policies, I am actually on the same side as him. I believe in everything he believes in that aspect. My argument was, he's talking about, we will not take these Muslim refugees and blah, blah. Yeah, okay, cool. He equates basically a world faith, soon to be the largest in the world, 2 billion people, of which I'm a member of. I'm Caucasian. Most people think Muslims are only some dark guy, you know, with a turban around his head. You know, no, it's a world faith, brother. You know, you sit there and say you love Muhammad Ali, and then you shit on what he believes in, which helped him become Muhammad Ali. If you ask him, he'll tell you this faith is what made him Muhammad Ali, right? His belief in God and all that stuff. So getting back to the point, I don't have a problem with what he's saying. I'm not mad at him because he doesn't want to let people into his country. I'm not mad because he wants to defend. No, I'm with you, Dominic Charkensky. What I'm not with you is your denial of how these migrants were created. Okay? I don't want Muslim refugees. Well, then why did Poland send 2,000 soldiers in the invasion of Iraq? Look it up. 2,000 soldiers in the invasion of Iraq. I believe it was March 13, 2003. I don't know the exact date. You helped to stabilize a nation that helped to stabilize the entire Middle East. These Muslim refugees that you don't want in your country, you should have minded your own business when Tony Blair and George Bush led you into a lie, telling the world that there was weapons of mass destruction that never existed, which destabilized Iraq, which destabilized Syria, the Arab Spring. It all goes back to that. 1 million people are dead. And then you're mad that they're trying to come to the countries that bombed them to begin with, okay? When you partook in creating those Muslim refugees, you look like a hypocrite, only to people that don't know the truth about history. So I don't have a problem with him. We don't want borders. We don't want people coming in. I agree. You don't want to lose the demographic completely, lose your identity. It's happening to my city. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say I'm on the same side as Dominic Turk. I am in that aspect. I'm looking at my city being annihilated by foreigners that have come overnight. None of them have been screened. They're shooting cops. They're 9-year-olds, brother, in our streets of New York. We have been turned into basically anarchy. Anarchy. The police can't be proactive because they're scared if they make one wrong move, they don't have immunity anymore. So even if they're battling a criminal and they do something wrong, or let's say they have to punch the guy and he gets it, and they were probably very justified, let's say. There's times they're not. I'm not denying that there's cops that make mistakes. But if they make one wrong move, they lose their entire lives. And that's a job where mistakes will happen. You go try dealing with emotionally disturbed people all day, people on drugs. Shit's gonna happen, bro. Mm-hmm. So for them to have no type of protection, that's why the cops are not proactive anymore. Under the Giuliani years, they were proactive. You'd have cops dressed like they're homeless. They're not homeless. It's a cop waiting to see who's gonna do what, and stop and frisk, and it was the safest big city in the world. That's a fact. That's why our tourism almost hit 120 million in 2018. And now look at us. We're in decline, massive decline. So I understand the whole argument against I don't believe in an open border. What I'm against is creating hatred and putting 2 billion people in one box. 2 billion people are, and criminals. No, they're not. They're not, okay? 2 billion people. 1 out of 5 people is Muslim, brother. Are all Catholics? Should I judge all Catholics based on their clergy, the priesthood? Because they sure as hell a shitload of children. So is that fair?
I hope you're marking this.
Mark this shit, because you're gonna have to edit the out of this. But you get my point. So that type of stuff happened. Is it fair for me to put all Catholics in that? No. So like, why can't the same respect be honest in the discourse? What led to the, you invaded a country that shouldn't have been invaded. Do I like Saddam Hussein? No, I can't stand him. I'm glad he's gone. But who put him in power to begin with? Who gave him the weapons to fight Iran? Like, it's just a joke. People's memories are 20 seconds. We got TikTok brain as a nation. You understand where we are. At a minimum, you got to go back 100 years. And that still doesn't paint the story of why we are where we are today. I'm talking about for the whole world, not just America.
Well, that also doesn't correct it.
It doesn't correct it, but to at least try to understand how we got here.
So
migrants didn't just pop up all of a sudden.
So the first question.
And one last point, I'm sorry, please don't come. Because the Dominic, so how come they don't call all the Latinos, right? That are coming in, and I'm not picking on that group, but I'm just saying that a lot of the crimes that are being committed in New York are the ones from El Salvador and Guatemala. This is a fact. They're not being called the Christian migrants, even though they're of Christian faith. So why is anything negative always associated with the Muslim faith when you could do the same with the Christian and the Jewish faith, but they only do it for the Muslims?
Well,
it's not fair, man.
I think that's something you're focusing on because
it is, though, but he calls them Muslim refugees. Okay. No, why can't it just be a Sudanese refugee or a Iraqi refugee? There's many faiths in Iraq.
So
it's always with the Muslim faith. There's a double standard, man. Well, it's very clear.
Well, I don't know about what he's saying.
When we're talking about migrants.
Okay. I don't know about what Poland is saying. What I'm saying is when I think of people coming in.
The UK saying it too. These Muslim migrants.
What I think of as people coming into the United States is I think of South Americans. Are they mixed in with Muslims?
There's a couple
and other states. Yes. So absolutely. The bulk of what
There's Albanians coming in there through too.
So the bulk of what I think of is I think of South Americans. That's what I think of
as an American.
I'm
looking at it globally though.
But I'm concerned about America. And as far as the UK is concerned, the problem with the UK is that they allowed, because obviously they don't have a lot of South Americans going to the UK. So their South American problem
is Middle East and Africa.
Middle Eastern and Africa. So those people that are there inviting in. So you're inviting these people.
Well, it's not the people of the UK, right? It's their government, and I don't blame the UK.
Wait a second. So those people that they're inviting in, and they're giving benefits to, and they're giving citizenship, and with open arms, which honestly, let's face it, that feels like if your country and if you as a citizen and your country is financially doing well, your first thought, and you see these people suffering, as a decent human being, you think, hey, you know what? My first thought is let's invite them in to share in what we have. That's great. That's a wonderful thing. That's a very Christian thing to do. You want to help out.
It's a human thing.
So you invite them in. The problem is that makes you feel good. And your first thought is, I want to feel good and I want to do the right thing. The problem is what the right thing to do is, just like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? The problem is you're inviting people in to use up your resources. You are not making the best decision for your citizens, which you've been elected to make the best decisions in their best interest. You're not doing that. And the problem is you make them citizens and you allow them to vote. And what they do and what they've done in the UK is they have voted themselves in to power. Yeah. They have changed the laws, and they are not as gracious as you were to them. They immediately start changing the laws to protect their groups and alienate your groups. And the moment you push back, they riot, and there's nothing you can do now, because here's the problem. You have this massive population that you invited into your country and made citizens, and you can't then strip them of citizenship and throw them back out. So they have a real problem. Because here's the thing. If I make you a citizen of this country and I give you all of those rights, right? Like, I don't know how you can then turn around and strip those people of citizenship without some kind of a massive revolution. And the problem, what most people don't realize with revolutions or with wars,
revolutions,
is in general, is that typically you don't, for instance, take the Nazis. Initially, what they were trying to do was push out the Jews, but keep their wealth, right? When that doesn't work, they start throwing them into concentration camps, right? And then they start them. Because the truth of the matter is,
came last.
Right.
They really did just try to get them out.
They were just trying
they
to
even
push
sent
them
ships
out
to America, and we sent them back. So like, this is the real history.
That's something
that no one talks
nobody
about.
talks about that.
Okay.
They literally piled them into ships and sent them to the United States. There were literally ships where
And they sent them back.
where Jews were boarding. They were paying their own way and everything, boarding to come to the United States. The United States told them, turn around and go back.
Those people ended up dead.
Yeah. All of them ended up dead.
So-
This wasn't one ship. This was time after time for years. And then the United States acted like when they found the concentration camps and found out all of these things were happening. Do you know what the United States did? Are you telling me that they were killing them? You knew the whole time.
Yeah,
bro.
Albania took them in. We told them, but they didn't want to come to us. Albanians opened their doors because that's the kind of people we are. But you know what's funny about that?
Well,
that gave the green light, right? He said, "I just want you guys out. I feel like you're influencing our country too much. This is his argument, right?" And it's fascinating. Everyone's watching these speeches now, where they're translating.
They're translating
English,
the Hitler speeches,
and even Joe Rogan talked about it.
He just sounds like a politician.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
Now he's a little racist. He uses a little bit more racial than a current politician. But he doesn't sound any different than politicians now.
Yeah, I don't think he was going up there saying, we're going to take him into the ovens, because that's what we think.
Right,
we
right.
think that he's probably up there going, Ethan, I've hit out. Like, we don't know that he's just saying this, and that. I mean, things were different after that. But if Americans took in those ships, I promise you, the amount of them that lost their lives, they wouldn't have ended up in those gas chambers.
Yeah.
I bet my life on it.
Right.
They wanted them out. And when no one else wanted them, then he's like, well, if no one else wants them, why the is this Germany's problem? And so we have America has some guilt there.
Okay, so so back to the original question is that's the problem with the situation the UK is in and the United States is in. Now we don't have the problem that UK has because we have such a large population compared to them.
We have way more land than they have. Too.
Right. So the big problem is that how does the UK fix that situation? The only way to fix it is to go conflict. They're already in conflict. Is to go with the Nazi. You've pushed them out, and if they can't have nowhere to go, then what do? You round them up. You put them in re-education camps,
like the Uyghurs.
Right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like the solutions are no good. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize that doesn't make the history book.
So what do you think is going to happen? There?
Here's the thing that people don't realize. When the United States and Russia and everybody went into Germany, right? There were still large amounts of Nazi presence, right? There were still people that had been a part of the military that were still there. What they don't realize is that those people, they went into the towns where they'd gone back in and they told them all to bring their paperwork and to come into town, and a lot of them just didn't come back. And nobody ever talks about the fact that the United States took part in bringing people in and them. Soldiers were, children, 15, 16, 17-year-old children that had been in the Nazi party. A lot of them they just released, right? But some of the older ones, they were 25-year-old, 30-year-old, 50-year-old men that had been a part of the military. Nobody ever talks about that because there was no social media and it doesn't make the history books.
Massive amounts of women were abused, especially on the Russian side.
They always talk about that because that makes the Russians look bad.
Yeah.
But people don't realize is that most of the time in the past, when you've invaded these countries, you've had to round up because that's the solution.
And wipe out the ideology because it's like a weed is what they think.
Right. And the bottom line is by wiping them out is how you make these. People are like, well, I don't understand. World War II, we went in, we captured these cities, we corrected their behavior, and they became profitable nations again. Or you import
them after the war and learn from them, like Project Paperclip.
And they became profitable countries again, right? They became
very powerful,
decent, powerful countries. But the truth is, you don't realize is that but they hundreds of thousands of people. Nobody ever talks about that because it doesn't meet the history books and it doesn't make you feel good. And you think, oh, yeah, we can do that again. No, we can't do that again unless you're willing to take these steps. And nobody will ever take those steps. Nobody's ever going to go into Mexico or into South America and just start massively wiping people out. So in El Salvador, where the guy built a prison that holds like 100,000 people, they just went through the streets. You got tattoos, you got gang affiliations, boom, they grab them. Now they're going through the process right now
of purging.
they're going through the process right now of in those prisons where they're putting those guys through the court system. So the court will now determine how long you're going to, what your sentence is going to be, and if they're going to release you or not. But you've sat there for over a year.
Years,
And you may be there for years. You may be there for life. But El Salvador suddenly went as if you describe that situation to someone, you would say,
that's insane.
It's insane. It's horrible. It's horrific. What are they doing? They're monsters. But the truth is, El Salvador went from being one of the most dangerous countries in the world to being one of the safest countries within 6 months.
So it's already changed that dramatically.
So
they're just rounding up all the gang members and anyone with tattoos.
Tourism has come back.
And we're gonna figure out who you are while we have you in this container.
Right.
You know?
Right. We're going to lock you up because you've got facial tattoos and you're a maniac.
You have
and we got an arrest.
Whatever it is.
And we're going to lock you up. You thought it was cool because they were just randomly just kidnapping people. People were terrified to leave their houses.
Chopping people's heads off.
Yeah. And so now you've rounded them up, which is absolutely inhumane. It's horrible. It's unjust. It's this, it's that. But you know what? Sometimes you have to do absolutely horrible, inhumane things to correct a situation that has no correction.
That is horrible and inhumane.
Exactly.
Right?
So
you're killing innocent people all the time.
You have to pick the lesser of two evils. And that's the lesser of two evils.
I agree.
They could have just lined them all up and just, which would have been way cheaper, by the way. I'm a big believer in let's go the cheap route. Like bullets and gasoline are extremely inexpensive. Like, I mean, we can get rid of this problem. Is it horrific? It is horrific.
As long as they are those evil people, though. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the whole problem. You're gonna end up getting a few uninnocent people, and if people are like, "Oh, that's horrible," you're gonna get some people that are innocent, and but you know what? Do you know how many that you telling me that?
Imagine the poor bastard that put the tattoos on just so he doesn't get shot when he goes to work. So he thinks he did it for camouflage. Well, he ends up in the cell.
Well, I mean, you know,
there's definitely one guy.
You're gonna break some eggs.
There's definitely one guy in that cell, Matt, who just like, man, my neighborhood's too dangerous. They took over. Let me put some tats so they don't shoot me.
And I feel horrible.
that poor bastard's in there right now. Like, why did I get these tattoos?
Right, I know, but if he has to go so that your children can walk to school and back without being attacked, I'm sorry.
I agree.
That was a mistake.
There is no kumbaya solution.
Right.
I agree with you on that. There's some times where shit's got to get real.
So what I'm saying is it's not the president of El Salvador because he's actually, I think he's isn't he like a king or something? I don't think he's I think he might call himself president. I think he's a dictator. So you've got him.
You ever notice how it's like dick is the first part of that word?
Yeah. Okay. So, so you've got him and you've got the president of Poland, who people love to call all these names.
I agree with 90%.
Poland is gorgeous.
Spotless. Yeah.
Spotless. You can walk through the streets. It's wonderful. There's almost no crime.
There's blondes everywhere.
They've got great manufacturing facilities.
Polak walks into a bar.
So, is it a tough stance? Yeah, it's a tough stance. Is it unfair? Maybe it's unfair, but it's probably more fair than the alternative.
Just to clarify, I agree with his policy.
Right.
I just don't agree with his taking 2 billion people and equating them to one thing. I got a problem with that.
He's not politically correct.
That's the
hard
part.
to be politically correct.
Don't group me with 2 billion people, okay? And then on top of that, you helped create those migrants. Acknowledge where they came from at least. And yeah, you don't want to let them, that's fine. But at least have some ethics. Say, you know what? Maybe Poland shouldn't have invaded Iraq, helping America. And maybe I wouldn't have these migrants coming to my country. That's a fact, okay? The majority are coming from the Middle East. He said 2015, most of those were coming from Syria. What led to Syria? It was the destabilization of Iraq, right? When you helped destabilize these countries and create these Muslim refugees, as he says, at least bear some, I'm not saying let them in, but at least have some humanity, have some compassion and say, maybe we up. Maybe we shouldn't have invaded their nation and we wouldn't have this problem. We don't want him in, and I can understand why he doesn't, but at least take some accountability for your actions. If you're a real man, if you're so God-fearing and God-believing, and to me, you can't be both. You're either going to be real or not. You're going to say the truth or not. You're either going to tell the whole truth, because just telling the half-truth to me is a lie also.
So how do you correct that situation from occurring in the United States?
It's already begun here, brother.
Yeah, I know. I understand that.
In New York City, it's already here. Every day there's crime. I tell my ex-wife and do not take my kids to New York City. Do not go to New York. But you go, yeah, I go because I know how to move no matter what. And I grew up in the 90s in New York. You didn't. You came here much later.
Yeah.
I grew up in the old New York, but even right now is more dangerous compared to that time.
Yeah, but that's not a solution.
No, what I'm saying is there's pretty soon not going to be much of a solution in this country unless American people wake up left and right.
Yeah, waking up to and do what?
And
Like, what's the solution?
We need to. I think listen, there is no way out of where we are without some type of pain, like serious pain. Whether it's economical, God willing, it will never be physical, like where we actually have violence and stuff like that. That's what we're trying to avoid, because that will destroy all of us. But there's no way out of what we're going through without pain. And I think the only way we could do it peacefully is to shut the system down. Everyone says it, left and right, Republican, Democrat, regardless of values. I know you guys think that you're enemies. We can all coexist here. I do believe that. But not if we're trying to push each other's lifestyles on each other, one way or the other, right? If everyone could just mind their own business in the bedroom and what they do, I mean, how hard is that? Like, I don't need to hear about what you suck. I don't care. Shut the up on both sides. We need to be on the same team right now and tell these in DC, we've had enough. Shut the whole system down. We're not working. We're not doing shit. We're not paying. We're not doing nothing until we have term limits, public audit on where your money comes from every single year. We want to know where your money's coming from. Lobbying is to be made illegal. And we get to vote if we go to war, not you. We get to vote, the American people. Unless it's something catastrophic and there's no time. I mean, I'm not saying that last step would be a reality, but it's the only way out without a war. Right. Matt, without a war, unless both sides come together, we're
but
fucked.
that war is a civil war.
But what I'm saying is if we don't come together, I 100% believe we will have a civil war.
Can I get some coffee?
I think unless we figure a way to come together, we're in a cold version of it, and it's only a matter of time before we have a hot one.
I'm getting coffee, bro.
I'm smoking a cigarette.
So the question is, what is the solution to that problem?
In the U.S., the border needs to be secured immediately.
Right.
I believe ICE needs to round all the people up, as many as they can that are, first of all, I mean, these people are committing crime. They just came into our country and they're already committing violent crimes. This shouldn't even be, why are they still here?
Right.
Forget, their path to citizenship. They've already come in illegally. They're already doing illegal things. There's nothing more to talk about. That person needs to be tagged and deported back to their country. But that's not going to matter because a lot of these people are just coming right back in, right? So until we secure that border,
right,
there's nothing to talk about. And I don't care who's president. That border needs to be secured completely.
Anyone that can immigrate, like here's what I don't understand is that we have a huge immigration. Like everybody's like, oh, we need to let more people in. We let more people in than anybody. Like, what are you talking
10
about?
10 million people, brother. It's a major amount.
But no,
people.
I'm saying legally.
Legally is the best way.
Right.
My dad came here legally.
Legally should be the only way. So legal immigration in the United States, we let more people in than any other country. So if we're allowing people, and there are other countries that, here's what's so funny about this is like, there are other countries that are dying for people to come to their countries because their populations are shrinking.
Thank you. And that's what I was about to just hit the hail there.
Why can't you just go there? Like, let's just shift them there.
Part of this Muslim invasion of Europe problem is a very big piece that the Europeans don't want to talk about. They want to sweep it under the rug. All of the Western European nations have negative birth rates. All. Right. Italy, Germany, all these countries, I believe I forgot which country's even paying you, Switzerland, and some of them are like, please,
some of them are like giving you tax-free for 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, they're paying you to have children in certain European countries.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what Japan just came out. Talking about saying, look, if you come here and have children, we'll give you X amount of dollars.
Isn't it funny, though? We have a population crisis, right? The way they make us believe that there's too many people on Earth, yet you have countries that are paying people to come have children.
Isn't that funny that they've been pushing that agenda for the past 30 years? They've been talking about overpopulation. The truth is the population is still expanding, but it is going to be contracting within the next 10 or 15 years.
Elon Musk spoke about this. Musk spoke about China. Even China now, like they went too far with the one-child policy, and they're in trouble.
Oh, they're in major trouble.
Okay, so
Japan's in major trouble.
It's funny, right? But so there you have that. That's a clear and blatant. It's bullshit. That's number one. Number two, The European countries, the reason you have so many Turks in Germany, for example, it's the second biggest population outside of Turkey, is because after World War II, they brought the Turks in as cheap labor to rebuild the country. And then they settled it. There's literally you'll get the best Turkish food you've ever had in your life. And I've been to Istanbul. The best Turkish food in the world is in Germany because it has the German standard. And I love Turkish food. It's amazing. What's going on in Europe and what people don't talk about, the reason I believe they've had so much of a lenient policy in these governments is because they know the real story. The real story is it's not overpopulated the way they want us to believe. They have negative birth rates. Why? Because the German doesn't want to get married and have kids. The Englishman, the majority of them, don't want to get married and have kids. The problem in Europe is you have red light districts. Okay? It is cheaper to have dinner than it is to take advantage of a woman in a brothel in Germany. It is literally cheaper to go to a brothel than it is to have dinner.
Okay, I was going to say you said it backwards, but yeah, you said it's cheaper to have dinner.
No, it's cheaper to literally take advantage of a woman.
Yeah,
because even though it's legal, those women are trafficked. I don't care what you say. They are trafficked. You're just making it easier for the criminal to wash their money because they're still being pimped out. Most of them from Eastern Europe, South America, they're in the brothels of Germany. They're in the brothels of Amsterdam. And these men are like, why do I need to get married? Because I can just go every night, literally, and sleep with a different woman. It's cheaper than having a wife. And they have destroyed their own nuclear family, which has led to a negative birth rate. They're averaging like 1.5 births per couple. You need at least 3 to, sustain and, expand your population. So I think part of the reason they've allowed all these migrants to come in is also what they're not talking about, that they've destroyed their own nuclear family with their own cultures and brothels and all this stuff. And they allowed all these migrants to come in to work the jobs. I promise you, most of these English and Germans don't want to work. My cousin probably died working in his job in Stuttgart, Germany. He died of a cancer. He was in a factory working for years in a job that most Germans don't want. Germans still use the terminology Ausländer. They've been using that since World War II ended. Outsider. I've experienced racism when I visited Germany. They wouldn't allow me into nightclubs in Frankfurt. I'm speaking English. I'm American. I'm dressed nice. I give my card. Hey, I'll buy a bottle, whatever.
You know what's always funny is...
And they tell me 9. I'm like, why? They're like, Albanian. I swear to God, you're Albanian. I go, you...
So, but here's the thing. What most people in the United States don't realize, because most people in the 95% of the country have never left the country, right? 95% of us.
That's the biggest problem.
They only believe that what they're being told by social media. What people in the United States will say, like, "Oh, we're so racist." Are you out of your mind?
No,
go
we're
to
not.
Any other country out there.
No, we're not.
They're not. They're so racist. They're blatantly racist to your face, right in your face.
And look, one of the biggest pop stars in the world, BB Rexa. She's Albanian.
Okay.
She just had a big scandal with Lufthansa. Pull it up, brother. Kobe, read that out. I'll just show you. Okay. She thought that the person working at the airport was Albanian, so she spoke to him in Albanian, and this guy treated her so bad. This is a world pop star, American pop star of Albanian origin. She's crying hysterically. I've never been treated like that before. I've never been treated like this before. Like, she felt completely dehumanized. And then, yes, do we have issues, brother? No one's denying we have some issues in our country. I'm telling you, someone that's been around the world. I've been around the world, brother. I've experienced what it's like to be in a country and scared because you're not of that people or of that nation. You don't know how you're going to be treated. They look down upon you. You don't really know if you have anything that's going to protect you if they decide to arrest you. I've been in those situations. It's scary. I've been to communist countries. I've been to dictatorship countries. I was in Yugoslavia before it collapsed. It's scary shit, bro.
So here's the thing. Most immigrants, when they come here and they come in here illegally, one, it's the border. It's basically open. You can go in there, say, "Hey, I'm coming from El Salvador. My name is John so-and-so. I have," or whatever, Jose, whatever. I have no papers. And they say, okay, they write everything down, and then they release you into the United States. They
and give them a debit card. Now, my poor cousin, tried to come into the country over a decade ago,
right?
Longer than that, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Got caught on the Mexican border. They kept him in jail for 2 years, not because they wouldn't have released him, but he was trying to fight to become a citizen. He wanted to be an American. He wanted to have that chance. And they told him, listen, if you just want to go back home, we'll let you out, go back home. But he's like, no, I really want to fight the case in court. My brother's here already. My whole family's here. I want to be a part of American society. He sat in jail and rotted for 2 years trying to become an American, right? These people are just walking in now. They're giving them debit cards, thousands of dollars. putting them up in hotels. New York City's in shambles, $5 billion. You want to tax us now. They want to put a toll inside of Manhattan. I understood the tolls to cross into New York, but now within New York, you want to toll us to go from 55th Street to 34th Street? Really? New Yorkers are stupid. I am ashamed to call myself a New Yorker these days. What's left of our city to allow them to keep doing this shit, Matt? It's not just the migrants' faults. It's our faults for allowing these politicians to do the policies and play with us and congestion pricing and tolls and tax the fuck out of us and then throw the money in war and garbage and nonsense. And us as citizens get nothing, which usually leads to revolutions, brother.
So here's what I'm saying is what's funny is that because we have like this open border and people are pouring in here and places like the United Kingdom where they've just invited all these people to come in and made them citizens and done all these other things. So here's what's interesting about that is like there are other countries that are asking you to come. The problem is if you said, hey, if you rounded up 1 million migrants and said, listen, we're going to bring you to Japan. And Japan said that you can come here, live here, and work here. They don't want to go. They don't want to go because most countries, especially Japan, and in general, every place, especially in Asia, are just openly racist, right? And they know they'll get there, and the Japanese are never going to make you a citizen. Or if they do, it's going to be some kind of an apartheid system where
because they don't want the ethnicities mixed.
Right,
that's the truth.
Where you can be a citizen, but you're not voting. You don't have the same rights as us. Like you can work and help repopulate our population because we don't have workers. Like we'll use you. And you'll be a citizen, but you'll be a second-class citizen. So they don't want to go there. They're saying, oh, we want to escape where we're at. We want to come to the United States. If you said, no, you can escape, they're not going to be horrible to you. You can get a job, you can live a good life, but you're never going to be able to vote. They're going to let you can eat at restaurants, you can do stuff, but they're going to be probably pretty much openly racist to you. They're at least going to have some kind of segregation system. They absolutely do not want to go there. They come to us and to these Western countries. They come to the Western countries because they invite them in. They feed them, they house them, they make them citizens, and then they penetrate the fabric of society, social media, and politics, and then they turn those countries that invited them into something unrecognizable. And then they turn on the very people that invited them in. Like they get here and they're upset with you for inviting them in. You need to change. What do you mean I need to change? My country's working great. Your country is the one you're fleeing from. So why would I change? Well, you need to do this. You need to do like, what are you talking about? Like it's such, that's the problem is that I think we don't realize that by doing what feels good and being kind and making these decisions to invite people in is detrimental to us and to our citizens in the long run. And it's such an unpopular thing to say. It gets turned into, oh, you're racist, it's hatred. It's
racist.
Not. It's just
I'm a Muslim,
right?
And I'm telling you, I agree that this border needs to be secured.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't come, but you have to go through the right protocol.
You need to know who the you are.
Right?
Did you 50 people in Salvador? Did you 20 people in Iraq? Like, who are you?
Right.
Who are you, and what is your intention?
Listen, some of these countries I feel horrible for. Like, I get why you're coming. Like, there's no jobs, there's no this. But, what about possibly trying to clean up those countries? What about fixing with the situation that's there?
It's the same thing as New Yorkers fleeing to Florida in a different way. Watch.
But it is exactly the same thing.
Okay.
We don't want them.
They don't agree. They don't agree with what happened to New York. The policies, the culture, the everything, the ups is down, down is up, and they're fleeing like little bitches. They're coming to Florida instead of standing their ground in their own state that they've always lived in and taking back the state, voting these assholes out, doing what needs to be done. It's the same thing as the migrant. They, instead of staying back there and defending their nation and fighting to take it back, they just decide to give up. If I was you guys in Florida, I would pass a law. Unless you've been in Florida for 10 years or you were born in Florida, you can't vote. Right. These states need to be protected. There's a conflict going on in Texas right now. All the Californians don't California my Texas, right? I agree with that. You left your shithole state for what reason? So if you're going to come here and try to change all that, go stay in your state. You don't deserve to come to Texas or Florida.
Listen, what about-
Otherwise, go back to your shitholes and deal with the mess that you allowed to happen while you lived there, because you weren't a part of society, and the important part of paying attention to what's going on in your neighborhood. It always starts in your neighborhood. It always starts in your backyard. You sat there while people started shitting on your front lawn, like you mentioned earlier. And if that was okay for you, now you want to go to Texas? Like, no, you should have gone to the mayor's office and be like, listen, we had enough of this shit. You either take care of this shit or you're out of the office. That's the problem. Nobody wants to do the work. Nobody wants to protect what's right. Nobody wants to have anything difficult. We just want to sit there and swipe left or swipe right, eat some bonbons on the couch. And most Americans now are pleasuring themselves while holding their cell phone in their left hand. I'm not. I'm in a very happy relationship. So. But this is what's wrong, man. Weak men. Right. Weak men is what's wrong with our country. Weak. We are.
Listen. Yesterday, I'm telling you, yesterday, we were, where were we? We were sitting in a restaurant, and I was looking out, and I saw, that's not true. We weren't sitting there. We were still walking to the restaurant. And we were walking up to the restaurant, and I watched 3 or 4 young kids walk by, guys that are probably 19, 20 years old. And you look at them and the way they're walking and holding themselves and laughing and giggling. And these are separate guys. They're not together. 4 different guys. I watched every one of them, and I thought, my God, if there was a draft, like, these are the guys that are going to show up for the draft.
So
like they're walking like they're practically dancing. Like they're like, you know, like it's just like, it's like, are you serious? Like, this is a heterosexual guy that walks like almost like a girl and is giggling and laughing on his phone, and I'm sitting there thinking, God forbid, bro.
Betas, bro. They're all betas.
Like it's a horrible situation. And then they wonder why no girl wants to date them, and it's a whole situation that's just it's just sad. Hopefully, there's enough rednecks out there to handle any type of future invasion. Like, and that's what you're going to need, a bunch of redneck kids that are fishing. And
that's usually who it is, man.
That are like
even
excited
in the past,
about
it's like guys from Texas and Louisiana. We're going to go out there and we're going to get these communists.
I saw a TikTok where this kid was like, and he was like just a regular, like a 16, 17-year-old kid. And he was talking about, he's like, look at me. He's like, you can't draft me. Like, I'm not, you don't want me protecting. He's like, my but you don't want me and my friends protecting this country. He's like, what do you, he goes, almost every one of my friends is on some kind of some kind of anti-anxiety medication. He's like, look, I can't fire a gun. Like, I can't protect you. I can't protect myself. Like, he was going on. And I was thinking, well, at least he knows that, the situation he's in, and that he's, not going to be somebody that's going to join the army.
You'll be a cook. You'll be a cook, motherfucker.
He could be a cook. What people don't realize, too, is like literally like 80% of the military never see battle. It's like 20% that fight the wars. Everybody else is like, they're cooking the food, they're moving stuff around, they're driving a truck, they're unloading truck. Like, most of it's just logistics, So he could probably do that. You're right. He could do that. And then you could put the rednecks. They go on the front line because they want to shoot some shit. Yeah, I get that.
Take turns.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what do you think?
I think we wrap this up. You got to go to the airport.
I got to get out of here, my friend.
Is it you're going to the airport? Is that what
I got to head back to the hotel.
Did you drive?
Yeah. And
you
then
drove?
No, I didn't drive from New York this time. No. I got to head. I'm going to go see Danny real quick too before I get out of here.
Danny Jones?
Yeah.
Okay.
But different.
Are you doing a podcast?
Yeah, but very different. This is going to be, he always releases them like 6 months from now. This is going to be about women and religion. Women and the what is real and what is not real about, for example, Muslim, Christian, like who's really worse on women? Is it the Muslims that are bad, or is it the Christians? It's going to be a very interesting subject.
You want to tell them about like wrapping them up and not letting them read and keeping them in the kitchen.
We're going to see if that's really in the doctrine or is that a cultural thing?
Not letting them drive, like just good judgment, really.
I mean,
yeah.
At least they can't leave us if they can't drive. Where the fuck are they going?
I hear you.
Imagine your wife walks out the door and you're like, where the fuck are you going? She have to walk somewhere. Like, oh, okay, I'll find her. That's probably why they do it, so their women can't escape.
My wife, she's a problem. She's a problem. She can hunt. She can fish. She has a better work ethic than me. She'll
skin you alive.
She'd leave my body in Okeechobee Lake. The alligators would eat me. I mean, she's strong. And she's got that mechanic strength too.
She's not to be faffled with.
Yeah, that what do you call it? That labor, like a laborer strength,
Yeah.
which is different than working out strength. Just a right guy that works out, like that's all for show. You take a guy who lays drywall and you
day.
take a guy who works out. That guy who lays drywall will kick the living shit out of that guy
Probably,
who works
I'll
out.
pick him up like a sack of potatoes.
Right, because he's got a different kind of
mobile, too,
strength.
and he's mobile.
Yeah,
He's flexible.
That's
like,
how she is.
Yeah.
Like she's way too strong and all this weird it's horrible. It's extremely emasculating. I need to start walking around with like a baseball bat.
Man,
Club her once or twice.
I'm so proud of everything you've done. I want to thank
clubbing the wife?
I want to thank your audience for sticking behind you and seeing what I saw. And I know we're going to continue to see amazing things, let alone what you do on your show, but your appearances on other people's shows like Lex Friedman. I mean, brother, you've done some things that are dreams of mine already. So I look up to you, and I'm very, very happy for everything I've seen, and I wish you continued success. And, you know, you went through a hard time in your life. You came back out and you got to work, brother. And you've been working, I know for a fact. You've been working so hard, and to get where you are is not easy to do in this social media content creation game. So I know you know that, but I just want to say that I know it too. And I'm blessed to know you, happy to be here, and thanks for having me on your show, man. I did let you talk a lot more this time, so tell your followers.
Not a
last
whole
time.
lot.
Listen, that
and
was the first time.
you probably lost me 30% of my subscribers too.
I bet you if we watch this back, you spoke more than I did this time. I was cognizant of it.
There's no
Yeah,
way.
and tell your editor, Colby, don't be cutting shit out to make it look like I spoke more. But
right.
respect to all the people that follow my boy Matt here.